Hey guys, welcome back to another video, truck talk video. I got an email the other day asking about silent treatment. Somebody is going through a rough time right now, and their ex is doing the silent treatment. So, I think everybody knows what it is, but basically it's when you're being ignored. You try to reach out to the person, they won't respond, and they're treating you like you don't exist. And the question was, why does someone do this? Why does someone play the silent treatment? And there's two reasons in my mind why this is significant. One is from a healing perspective. One is from an abuse perspective. And the reason I say that is because oftentimes, we were talking about this the other day, oftentimes people get confused on what they're doing and the terminology. And I think terminology and definitions do matter. So the main thing, if you're dealing with somebody and you're going no contact, sometimes people think no contact is a silent treatment, that you're ignoring the person and that's, you're giving them the silent treatment. And it all really depends upon why you're doing what you're doing. And so this will kind of dive into the definition of both. But if you are ignoring somebody to inflict pain upon them, to get them to go crazy in their mind, try to get them to chase you, that is a silent treatment. You're doing it to punish somebody, to elicit a response, and you're doing it for power and control, and to inflict pain on the target. Whereas no contact, you're doing that for yourself. You're not doing that to hurt the other person. You're doing that because the person is causing you so much pain and you're trying to purge them out of your mind and heart to get your life back. That's that's a big issue, or not big issue, but that's one thing I just really want to hit. I haven't talked about this in a while, but it's really important to understand that. Okay, so then this rolls into what the person's question was, is like, well, why do they do this? Well, we've already been talking about that, but the main issue is pain, causing you pain, control, and for them to get that ego supply or narcissistic supply that makes them feel powerful, makes them feel in control. When somebody can ignore you and give you that silent treatment, and you are chasing them, and you are, why won't you talk to me? Why won't you answer my text? What happened? Tell me what's wrong. Tell me what I could do better. All that type of stuff. You are just filling up their tanks of supply just to the max. It's overflowing. We end up giving them so much power and energy, however you want to talk about it or however you want to describe it, but that's basically what's happening. Here's the reality. If you don't chase them, you don't respond, you don't react to them, well, one of two things will happen. If they're keeping you as a potential source of supply in the background, then there is a good chance that if you don't respond to them, that they will reach back out or they will do something to try to trigger the, trigger a response from you so that they know that you're still in their sphere of influence, so to speak. So there's a cop car over there. Anyway, so there's a possibility that they might reach back out to you. They might, after a few weeks or a month or a couple of months, drop a little note, maybe say a little, maybe even something as benign as saying, hey, that's it, right? Just enough to try to get them back in your mind and to get you to start chasing them again. Now, the flip side to it is it can also be the not the opposite, but the other thing is if they've completely erased you out of their lives, they don't need you as a source of supply, they don't need you chasing them anymore, they might never contact you. Now here's the thing. Now, from an academic level, that all makes sense. And you can look at that and go, oh, okay. But here's the emotional reality of this. And this is what I've seen. This is what I struggled with way back when for myself. And I've seen this time and time again with other people, is letting go of one of these people is really hard to do. You have that connection. You don't want it to be true. And you want them in your life. And the sad part is that having a crappy experience as opposed to no experience, sometimes that can seem beneficial. Not beneficial, can seem worthwhile. I'm here to tell you it's not, but I understand it. So it's scary. I mean, there might be some people who are listening to this right now thinking, oh crap, if I go no contact and when they're giving me the silent treatment and I stay away from them, oh my God, what if I know exactly that some of you are thinking, oh, okay, so if I go no contact and I ignore them, they'll come back and chase me. You don't have to say if it's you. But I know there's somebody watching this right now who, in the back of their mind, privately, they won't say it to anyone, they won't admit it, that's exactly what they're thinking. They're thinking, oh crap, or they're thinking first part, oh, okay, I'll do this and they'll chase me. And I'll have that cat and mouse with them again. Or worse, you're thinking, oh my God, if I do that, then they'll never come back after me again. Well, I have to send something, I have to throw something out there to keep the connection going. That is one of the hardest parts of this, is whenever you're trying to break that connection from the person. And I really feel for every one of you guys who's dealing with that. I mean, I've been doing this channel for almost 5 years. I've seen this over and over and over again. The sad reality is until you are ready to say enough is enough, I don't want to do this anymore, you're kind of stuck in that trap. Hopefully one day you're going to wake up and just say, okay, I'm done. And really mean it, right? Because I know there's a lot of times where we're done and we want this to be over, but subconsciously we're not really ready for it. I mean, it sucks. I mean, it's not okay per se, but it's one of those things which is a reality, and it's something that most of us have to deal with. Okay, so how do you help with this? Help yourself with this. These videos help. I would encourage you to, if you go back and look at my mindset for narcissistic abuse recovery. They're older videos, but a lot of them build upon this. The first video is a hybrid no contact, which if you don't have kids doesn't pertain, but it starts out with absolute thinking. Black hole thinking is the next video, is the third video in the series. Well, in the playlist, it's not really a series. And then I have videos that kind of build up on that, about living the illusion, don't get sucked back into the chaos. There's like about 30 videos in there. I would go through that because each one of those is basically hitting this point that I'm talking about now. And it's just kind of a reminder. And that's part of it, is reminding you of what's going on. Here's the fundamental truth that is so hard to accept. When you are dealing with a narcissistic, toxic person, they do not deserve to be in your life, and they shouldn't be in your life. You should want to purge them out of your life and detox from it and get away from it. Easy to say, much harder to do. It's like anybody with I know I've used this analogy before, but it's like an addiction. You're like addicted to the X. So it's not as easy as just like putting the bottle back on the shelf and never touching it again. Some people can do that. Most people who have problems can't. I had the same type of problem. It was really hard for me to break free. 2 decades of marriage, 3 kids, a whole life of toxic, narcissistic manipulation and abuse primed me for this, and it was really, really tough to detox from this. It was tough to break free. Time does help, but you have to put in work. If you don't put in the work, let me back up. What I mean by that is some of the other stuff I'm going to talk about. The other things I did is I had a really good trauma therapist. She helped me a lot. She recommended a bunch of books that I read. Chris Godinez has recommended a bunch, when she's been on the channel, has recommended a bunch of really good books that I would encourage you to read. Knowledge is your friend in this regard to help you understand what's going on. I was doing all that, and it still wasn't helping. So I started looking into other things like EMDR. If you watched my older videos, I've talked about how with my therapist, we tried to do that. It was just too much at the time. The other thing I did that was helpful was the hypnosis, hypnosis downloads, which you can find a link on my resources on my webpage, dadsurvivingdivorce.com, or short DSD, Duane.com. That helped too, right? I mean, and I would listen to those hypnosis files in the morning, in the evening, and during the day when I could take a break. I was doing weekly therapy sessions. I was reading. I was doing all this stuff, and my life felt like it was spiraling out of control. But after a while, it started to hit. It started to click. Click is a better word for it. It started to make sense. I started to, when I would ruminate and ask questions like this question, like, well, what's up with the silent treatment? And I used to wonder that. It's like, how in the world can this person who we've had, 2 decades together treat me like I don't exist? It messed with my head. And then it starts like with the absolute thinking is really was the key part of this is like, okay, well, it's because there's an underlying problem there. Undiagnosed, whatever. It's following the patterns or behaviors follow. And I would just remind myself, okay, that's what it is. It's not real. It's manipulation. It's fake. And that's what you need to do. You need to remind yourself of what the relationship really is. I mean, ask yourself simple questions like, do you feel loved in the relationship? And I have to say not ever, because then you can mess with your head because, well, yeah, of course, we had some good times. There were times where we had a nice romantic interaction and it felt like they loved me and stuff. But what you have to remember is it's all manipulation. It's all mirroring. It's telling you what you want to hear. It's them looking at you to figure you out and then telling you what you want to hear and becoming the person you want to become. I've talked about in the past, someone asked me a question on this too, and I'll just add this in here because it's pertinent right now, is, what's the deal with how do you fall in love with yourself? That doesn't make sense. And I said, well, the thing is these people become you. They look at you and they realize what makes you tick. What are you looking for? What would be the perfect person that you're looking for? And they mimic it back to you. Oftentimes it's mimicking you back. It's becoming the person that you always dreamt of, your ideal person, becoming that to suck you in and to lay the hooks in. And then it makes it so much harder to break free from it because you're stuck with this illusion thinking that it was real when it wasn't. So here's the last thing I just want to say on this is that whenever you're in the midst of a silent treatment, although it's painful, it is a perfect opportunity for you to work on yourself. It's a perfect opportunity for you to work on your no contact, start purging them from your life, start working on boundaries. And the last little bit on this I'll tell you is the hard part is when they're not around and you start working on that, you'll start feeling better. You'll start feeling empowered. You start feeling like you're crossing the corner. The reality is most of the time, it's a false sense of security for you. And as soon as they come back, all those emotions and everything come back crashing down. So it's going to take some time. And if you're lucky, maybe that won't be the case. That was the case with me, where I was like, when I first did the no contact thing, this is way back when, before I realized that you can't really go no contact when you have kids. And I was feeling pretty good. And the ex, like a month or two later, was like, oh crap, he's not chasing me anymore. So she took her finger, went boop right in my eye on something, or basically tried to engage, and it was like, oh crap, and all the stuff came crashing back down. So I hope that was helpful. If you've experienced some silent treatment problems, if you want to, share that in the comments below. But even better is if you've found ways to deal with it that helped you through it, share those so that other people who are struggling with this can maybe glean from your experience as well. On that, guys, take care, and I'll catch you on the next video.